The Roman Empire, a name synonymous with power, grandeur, and military might. At its zenith, it stretched from the misty shores of Britain to the scorching sands of the Middle East, encompassing a tapestry of cultures, languages, and peoples. Yet, amidst this vast expanse, one region remained stubbornly independent, a thorn in the side of the Roman war machine, Germania.
Why, you might ask, would an empire that had brought the known world to its knees struggle to subdue these seemingly barbaric tribes? What made Germania the unconquerable frontier, the land where Roman legions faltered and Roman ambitions were humbled?
The answer, dear listener, is not a simple one. It lies buried beneath layers of history, intertwined with the complex interplay of geography, military tactics, and the clash of two distinct cultures. It is a tale of Roman hubris and Germanic resilience, a saga of ambition, bloodshed, and ultimately Roman frustration. Join me as we delve into the annals of history to unravel the mystery of why Rome never conquered Germany. To comprehend the Roman obsession with Germania, one must first understand the very nature of Rome itself. Born from humble beginnings, a small city-state in the heart of the Italian peninsula, Rome rose to prominence through military prowess, political cunning, and an unshakable belief in its own destiny. The Romans were pragmatic, driven by self-preservation and expansion. Their early struggles instilled in them the importance of military strength and strategic acumen. Victory was about discipline, organization, and adaptability. This experience forged the Roman army into a formidable force. The Roman Republic demanded conquest as a cornerstone of its existence. New territories brought vast riches that fueled the Roman war machine. Each victory further legitimized Roman rule and fostered unity. By the time of Augustus, the conquest of Germania was a matter of imperial prestige. It was a test of Rome's ability to impose its will upon unyielding foes. Germania, unlike the fertile plains of Gaul or the sun-drenched shores of North Africa, offered no such enticements. It was a land of dense, primeval forests, where towering trees cast long shadows. The Romans, accustomed to their Mediterranean world, found themselves in an alien and hostile landscape. The Germanic tribes were children of this untamed land. Diverse and independent, they lived in small, scattered settlements. While the Romans had disciplined legions, the Germanic warriors excelled in guerrilla warfare. Masters of ambush, they struck swiftly from the forest. Their weapons, though cruder, were deadly: spears, axes, and swords. To the Romans, the Germanic way of war was unnerving and unpredictable. The stage was set for a clash of civilizations. On one side stood the Roman Empire, the epitome of order and power. On the other, the fierce and independent Germanic tribes. The coming conflict would be a battle for the soul of Germania. The Roman Empire, accustomed to structured societies, faced an unfamiliar enemy in the Germanic tribes. Germania was a patchwork of independent tribes, each fiercely proud of its autonomy. These tribes, bound by kinship and loose alliances, were prone to internal squabbles. To the Roman mind, this lack of central authority was baffling. Who did they negotiate with? Who did they subdue to control the region? The Romans struggled to comprehend the fluid nature of Germanic leadership. Authority could shift as quickly as the winds across the North Sea. This fragmentation proved to be a significant advantage for the Germanic tribes. It made it impossible for the Romans to deliver a decisive blow. The dense, unforgiving terrain of Germania became a crucial asset for the Germanic tribes. Masters of their environment, they used every feature to their advantage. They knew the secret paths, the hidden trails. The Romans, used to open formations, found themselves outmaneuvered. Their heavy armor slowed them down, making them easy targets. Swift, lightly armed Germanic warriors struck from the shadows.
Our forests are our allies. We strike like spirits of the woods.
Masters of ambush, the Germanic tribes struck when least expected, unleashing spears and arrows before melting back into the forest. To the Romans, this hit-and-run warfare seemed cowardly, but the Germanic tribes fought a war of shadows, valuing patience and cunning. The Roman Empire, drunk on its own success, underestimated their Germanic adversaries. They viewed the Germanic tribes as barbarians, lacking discipline and sophisticated weaponry. They failed to grasp the fierce determination to defend their ancestral lands.
We fight for the spirit of our people, for the freedom that is our birthright.
Beyond the tangible challenges of terrain and tactics, the Romans faced an insidious enemy in Germania, the unknown. The dense primeval forests, shrouded in mist and shadow, held a primal fear for the Romans, a fear that gnawed at their sense of order and rationality.
Tales whispered by campfire light spoke of strange creatures lurking in the shadows, of spirits that haunted the ancient oaks, of warriors who could disappear into the undergrowth as if by magic.
These stories, a potent mix of superstition and reality, preyed on the minds of the Roman soldiers, eroding their morale, amplifying their sense of vulnerability. The Germanic warriors, masters of psychological warfare, used this fear to their advantage.
They would leave offerings of animal carcasses in the paths of the Roman legions, stage night raids designed to terrify and disorient, whisper challenges from the darkness, their voices amplified by the dense foliage.
For the Romans, accustomed to the order and predictability of their world, the psychological strain of fighting an enemy they could rarely see, an enemy that seemed to melt into the very fabric of the forest, proved to be as debilitating as any wound inflicted by sword or spear. As the Roman Empire grappled with the realities of warfare in Germania, a sobering realization began to dawn on its leaders. Conquering this unforgiving land would come at a steep price, a price that Rome was increasingly hesitant to pay. The logistical challenges were immense. Supplying the legions and maintaining communication lines was a nightmare. The Germanic tribes targeted these vulnerable supply lines relentlessly. The Romans understood that true power lay in the ability to govern and integrate conquered territories. Germania offered little in the way of tangible rewards. The Roman Empire had to choose its battles wisely. And in the case of Germania, the scales were tipping towards caution. Emboldened by their conquests in Gaul and spurred on by the ambition to secure their northern frontiers, the Romans, under the leadership of Julius Caesar, first crossed the Rhine River in 55 BC. It was a symbolic act, a declaration of intent. Rome was here, and Rome intended to stay.
Caesar, a master strategist and a shrewd observer of human nature, understood that conquering Germania would require more than just brute force. He recognized the importance of diplomacy, of forging alliances with certain tribes, of playing them against each other to prevent a united front against Roman rule.
His early campaigns were characterized by a mixture of military might and political maneuvering. He established fortified camps along the Rhine, launched punitive expeditions against troublesome tribes, and even ventured into the heart of Germania, seeking to intimidate and overawe the natives with displays of Roman power and discipline. Yet, for all his brilliance, even Caesar could not fully tame the wilds of Germania. The tribes, while often divided, proved to be quick learners, adapting to Roman tactics, exploiting the limitations of their heavy infantry and utilizing the terrain to their advantage. And as Caesar's attention shifted to other fronts, the dream of a conquered Germania remained elusive, a tantalizing prize that seemed to slip further away with each passing season. The Battle of the Weser River. Following Caesar's assassination, the push to conquer Germania continued with renewed vigor. The Romans poured legions into the region, led by capable generals.
General Drusus led a campaign culminating in the Battle of the Weser River in 11 BC. The battle raged for days, fought amidst forests and marshes.
The Romans emerged victorious, but at a great cost. Drusus, dying from his wounds, uttered a chilling prophecy: "Beware the Germans."
Under the cover of darkness, amidst the whispering forests of Germania, a conspiracy was hatched, a plot that would shake the Roman Empire to its core. Arminius used his position within the Roman ranks to sow discord among the Germanic tribes. He needed to unite the tribes to defeat Rome. Raised in Rome as a hostage, trained in Roman military tactics, I knew the strengths and weaknesses of my former captors. Outwardly loyal to Rome, I secretly harbored resentment. I resolved to use my knowledge not to serve Rome but to destroy it. Arminius, a prince of the Cherusci tribe.
Section 4. The Forest Whispers. Guerrilla warfare takes its toll. The Roman governor of Germania, Publius Verus, a man known for his arrogance and his unwavering belief in Roman might, remained oblivious to the growing storm. He dismissed reports of unrest among the tribes as the grumblings of barbarians, unworthy of his attention.
Sensing my opportunity, I lured Varus and his 3 legions deeper and deeper into the heart of Germania, ostensibly to quell a minor uprising. The Romans, laden with baggage and supplies, marched blindly into the trap, their confidence unshaken, their belief in their own invincibility intact.
As the Roman column snaked its way through the Teutoburg forest, a dense ancient woodland crisscrossed by narrow, muddy tracks, the whispers began. At first, it was just a fleeting shadow, a glimpse of movement in the undergrowth, a distant cry echoing through the trees.
Then, the attacks came, swift and brutal. We, the Germanic warriors, our bodies camouflaged with mud and leaves, rained down spears and arrows from the dense undergrowth, disappearing as quickly as we had appeared. The Romans, their formations disrupted, their movements hampered by the terrain, found themselves fighting for their lives against an enemy they could not see, an enemy that seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at once.
The Roman legions, for all their discipline, were ill-equipped for this kind of war. Their tactics, designed for open battlefields, were useless in the forest. Heavy armor slowed them down, making them easy targets for agile Germanic warriors. The Battle of the Teutoburg Forest shattered the aura of Roman invincibility. The defeat forced Rome to reevaluate their ambitions in Germania. The Teutoburg Forest, a setting ripe for disaster. The year was 9 AD. The Roman Empire, at its apex, aimed to crush the Germanic tribes, but their chosen battlefield would be their undoing. The Teutoburg Forest became the stage for a shocking Roman defeat. Imagine towering trees casting eerie shadows. The air, heavy with damp earth and decaying leaves. The ground, a treacherous mire, swallowed hooves and sandals. No place for a disciplined army. Here, Varus led his legions to their doom. Section 2. The trap is sprung. Arminius's masterstroke. Arminius, the architect of Rome's impending doom, played his part to perfection. A master of deception, he had spent years earning Varus's trust, feeding him false information, and subtly steering the Roman army towards the killing ground he had chosen.
As the Roman column stretched out along the narrow forest path, its flanks exposed, its movements hampered by the difficult terrain, I made my move. Under the pretense of dealing with a local uprising, I detached myself from the Roman force, taking with me a contingent of Germanic warriors who had secretly pledged their loyalty to me.
With Varus and his legions isolated and vulnerable, Arminius unleashed his fury. Signals were sent out, carried by runners through the dense undergrowth, alerting the waiting Germanic tribesmen to their prey.
From the depths of the forest we came, a tidal wave of fury and vengeance, eager to repay years of humiliation and subjugation.
The trap was sprung. The Teutoburg Forest, silent moments before, erupted in a cacophony of battle cries, the clash of steel, and the screams of dying men. Days of slaughter. The legions encircled and decimated. The Roman legions, caught off guard, their formations broken, found themselves fighting for their lives against an enemy that seemed to spring from the very earth itself.
Germanic warriors wielding spears, swords, and axes. Every gap, every moment of hesitation.
The Romans, their discipline, their only salvation, attempted to form defensive positions, but the terrain was against them. The dense trees hindered their movements. The uneven ground made it impossible to maintain a solid line, and the constant rain of missiles from the surrounding forest chipped away at their numbers.
For 3 days and nights, the battle raged. The Romans, their backs against the wall, fought with the courage and tenacity that had made them masters of the known world. But against the relentless fury of the Germanic tribes, against the treachery of the terrain, and against the sheer brilliance of Arminius's strategy, they stood little chance.
One by one, the Roman eagles, those proud symbols of Roman might, were cast down, their bearers cut down, their standards trampled in the mud. The legions, once the pride of Rome, were reduced to a desperate rabble, their formations shattered, their morale broken. Echoes of defeat. The massacre's impact on Rome. The news of the disaster at Teutoburg Forest reached Rome like a thunderbolt, shattering the illusion of invincibility that had cloaked the empire for generations.
Emperor Augustus, upon hearing of the loss of 3 legions and the death of his trusted general Varus, is said to have wandered through the imperial palace, beating his head against the walls and crying out, "Varus, give me back my legions."
The defeat sent shockwaves through Roman society. The loss of 3 legions, a significant portion of Rome's military might, exposed the vulnerability of the empire's frontiers and shook the confidence of its citizens.
The Senate, normally a bastion of stoicism, was thrown into turmoil with accusations of incompetence, treachery, and cowardice flying back and forth.
The massacre at Teutoburg Forest became a national trauma, a stark reminder that even the might of Rome had its limits. It forced the Romans to confront the possibility that their empire, vast and powerful as it was not invincible. The psychological impact of the defeat was perhaps even greater than the military loss. The myth of Roman invincibility, carefully cultivated over generations of conquest, lay shattered. The legacy of Varus. A turning point in history. The Battle of Teutoburg Forest marked a turning point in the history of the Roman Empire. It brought to an abrupt end Rome's ambitions of conquering Germania and established the Rhine River as the permanent boundary between the Roman world and the untamed lands of the Germanic tribes. The defeat also had a profound impact on Roman military strategy. The Romans, once confident in their ability to defeat any foe in open battle, now adopted a more cautious approach, relying heavily on fortifications, border defenses, and a network of alliances to secure their frontiers. The legions, once the primary instrument of Roman expansion, became increasingly tied down in defensive roles, guarding the vast borders of the empire from external threats. The legacy of Varus and his legions lived on in the minds of Roman emperors and generals for centuries to come. The disaster at Teutoburg Forest served as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of arrogance, the importance of understanding one's enemy, and the limits of even the most powerful military force. For the Germanic tribes, the victory at Teutoburg Forest was a defining moment in their history. It cemented their reputation as fierce and indomitable warriors, capable of standing up to the might of Rome.
The victory also had a profound impact on our sense of identity, forging a sense of unity and shared purpose among the previously fragmented tribes.
The victory came at a heavy price. The Teutoburg Forest, once a sacred place for the Germanic tribes, was now a battlefield, its soil soaked with the blood of their fathers, brothers, and sons.
Yet, from the ashes of that conflict, a new spirit of independence arose, a determination to defend our hard-won freedom from any aggressor.
The Roman Empire might have been too powerful to conquer outright, but the Germanic tribes had proven that they could not be subdued, that the spirit of freedom burned brightly in their hearts. The victory at Teutoburg Forest ensured that Germania would remain a land apart, a place where Roman legions would tread carefully, if at all, and where the echoes of that ancient victory would continue to inspire generations to come. News of the Teutoburg Forest catastrophe struck the heart of the Roman Empire like a lightning bolt. Augustus grappled with a defeat so total, it threatened to unravel his reign.
Quintilius Varus, give me back my legions.
The loss of 3 legions, nearly 20,000 men, was a significant blow. Augustus faced a crisis of confidence that permeated Roman society. He dispatched Tiberius to secure the Rhine frontier. Legions were mobilized, their ranks replenished with fresh recruits. Augustus now faced the task of recalibrating Roman ambitions. The specter of Teutoburg Forest hung heavy over the Roman Empire. Tiberius, Augustus's successor, could not ignore the thirst for vengeance. In 14 AD, he entrusted his nephew Germanicus with avenging the fallen legions. Germanicus embarked on campaigns across the Rhine, his legions bristling with discipline and rage. He achieved early victories, routing Germanic tribes and reclaiming lost standards. At Teutoburg, he granted his fallen comrades a proper Roman burial. His victories were celebrated in Rome, signaling a return to Roman dominance. Yet, the Germanic tribes fought fiercely, using ambush and terrain to their advantage. Germanicus's campaigns ultimately proved costly, with the specter of another Teutoburg looming large. Section 3. The Limits of Vengeance. A Strategic Reassessment. The campaigns of Germanicus, though militarily successful, exposed the limitations of a purely vengeful approach to Germania. Tiberius, ever the pragmatist, recognized that the pursuit of total conquest in this unforgiving land would come at too high a price, draining Roman manpower and resources with little tangible gain. The Roman Empire, for all its might, was not limitless in its capacity for war. Tiberius, acutely aware of the empire's vast frontiers and the multitude of threats they faced, understood that Rome's strength lay in its ability to choose its battles wisely. Germania, with its fragmented tribes, its challenging terrain, and its limited economic value, simply did not offer a return on investment that justified the cost in blood and treasure. In 16 AD, Tiberius recalled Germanicus from Germania, a decision that marked a turning point in Roman policy. While the desire to avenge Teutoburg lingered, it was tempered by a newfound pragmatism. The Romans, humbled by their experience, shifted their focus from conquest to containment, aiming to secure their existing borders and prevent future Germanic incursions rather than seeking to subdue the region entirely. The Rhine River, once envisioned as a launching point for further expansion, now became a fortified boundary, a line drawn in the sand between the Roman world and the untamed lands beyond. Section 4. The Unconquerable Spirit. Germanic resistance endures. The Roman withdrawal from Germania did not signify a surrender to Roman might, but rather a testament to the enduring spirit of Germanic resistance. The tribes, though often divided by internal rivalries, had proven themselves capable of uniting against a common enemy, their knowledge of the terrain and their mastery of guerrilla warfare negating the advantages of Roman discipline and technology. The Teutoburg Forest victory had a profound impact on the Germanic psyche, forging a sense of shared identity and kindling a fierce determination to defend their hard-won independence. The Romans, once viewed as invincible, were now seen as fallible, their aura of invincibility shattered. This newfound confidence emboldened the Germanic tribes, fostering a spirit of resistance that would persist for centuries, shaping the destiny of both Germania and the Roman Empire itself.
Our victory in Teutoburg was not just a battle won, it was a declaration. We are free people, and we will remain so.
Section 5. A frontier forged in blood and iron. The Rhine River Divide. The Rhine River, once a symbol of Roman ambition, became a tangible manifestation of the empire's limits. The Romans invested heavily in its fortification. Fortresses, watchtowers, and legionary camps formed a formidable defensive line. The Rhine became a frontier, a zone of constant vigilance. It preserved a distinct Germanic cultural identity that outlasted the Roman Empire.
The dense primeval forests of Germania posed a formidable challenge to the Roman war machine. Imagine marching for days through a labyrinth of towering trees, their branches creating a perpetual twilight. Every snapping twig, a potential ambush.
The Roman legions, used to open battlefields, found themselves in a world turned upside down. Their formations became entangled amidst the dense undergrowth. Each step, a laborious effort.
The Germanic tribes moved with ease, knowing secret trails and hidden springs. The forest became their greatest ally, a shield against Roman might.
Against the silent resistance of the Germanian forest, Roman tools proved inadequate. The Roman army, a marvel of organization and discipline, was also a logistical behemoth, reliant on a steady stream of supplies to maintain its effectiveness. Every legion, every cohort, every century required food, water, weapons, armor, and other necessities, all of which had to be transported from distant provinces across often treacherous terrain. In the wilds of Germania, this logistical challenge became a nightmare. The Romans, accustomed to operating in conquered territories with established infrastructure, found themselves confronted with a land devoid of proper roads, bridges, or navigable rivers. The few paths that did exist were often little more than muddy tracks, easily turned into impassable quagmires by rain or deliberate sabotage. The Germanic tribes, masters of guerrilla warfare, quickly recognized the vulnerability of the Roman supply lines. They would lie in wait, hidden in the dense undergrowth, and then strike with devastating speed, ambushing isolated detachments, burning supply wagons, and disappearing back into the forest before Roman reinforcements could arrive. These constant raids, while tactically minor, had a devastating cumulative effect. They slowed the Roman advance to a crawl, forced commanders to divert precious manpower to protect their supply lines, and eroded the morale of the legions, who found themselves fighting a phantom enemy in a land that seemed determined to resist them at every turn. If the forests and the logistical challenges were not enough, the Romans in Germania faced another formidable foe, the relentless cycle of the seasons. The winters in this part of the world were harsh and unforgiving, with freezing temperatures, howling winds, and heavy snowfall that could blanket the land for months on end. The Roman soldiers, mostly recruited from the warmer climates of the Mediterranean, were ill-prepared for such conditions. Their summer uniforms offered little protection against the biting cold. Their leather sandals provided scant insulation against the snow and ice, and their tents, designed for warmer climates, offered little respite from the elements. The Germanic tribes, accustomed to these harsh conditions, used the winter to their advantage. They would melt away into the forests, seeking shelter in hidden villages and fortified settlements, where they could wait out the worst of the winter storms. The Romans, on the other hand, were forced to remain in their exposed camps, their movements restricted, their supplies dwindling, their morale sapped by the relentless cold. For the Romans, accustomed to waging war during the warmer months, winter became a time of hardship, disease, and death. The cold, the lack of supplies, and the constant fear of attack took a heavy toll on the legions, weakening their resolve and making them easy prey for the hardy Germanic tribesmen. Section 4. The Reckoning, Weighing Glory Against Reality. The Roman Empire grappled with the realities of campaigning in Germania. Conquering this vast, unforgiving land required immense resources. The allure of glory was undeniable, yet the logistical nightmares and endless attrition weighed heavily. The empire had frontiers to defend and internal pressures to manage. Germania offered little strategic or economic value. Abandoning the conquest was a pragmatic choice, recognizing limits. Section 1. The Unconquered North. A Legacy of Resistance. The Roman Empire, for all its might, never truly conquered the heart of Germania. The legions might have marched across its borders, but they never extinguished the flame of freedom within the Germanic people. The dense forests and unforgiving winters proved more formidable than any Roman legion. The Roman failure in Germania was a testament to the enduring power of cultural identity. The Germanic tribes united against a common enemy, their differences melting away. The legacy of resistance forged in the forests of Germania would echo through the centuries. The memory of Teutoburg Forest serves as a stark reminder of the limits of even the most powerful empire. Section 2. The Seeds of Discontent. Rome's Internal Struggles. The Roman failure to conquer Germania, while significant in its own right, also exposed underlying weaknesses within the empire itself. The legions, once the embodiment of Roman discipline and invincibility, had shown themselves to be vulnerable, susceptible to the challenges of unfamiliar terrain, unconventional tactics, and the logistical nightmares of waging war in a hostile environment. The cost of maintaining a vast empire, of constantly expanding its borders, weighed heavily on the Roman treasury and strained the loyalty of its citizens. The allure of plunder and glory, once a powerful motivator for Roman expansion, began to lose its luster as the empire grew larger, its frontiers more difficult to defend, and its internal divisions more pronounced. The Roman state, built upon a foundation of military success, found itself increasingly reliant on a professional army drawn from the fringes of the empire. Their loyalty to Rome, often overshadowed by personal ambition or the influence of powerful generals. The seeds of discontent, sown in the forests of Germania, took root in the heart of the empire itself. As the Roman people, burdened by taxes, weary of endless wars, and disillusioned by the growing gap between rich and poor, began to question the very foundations upon which their world was built. Section 3. The Barbarian Tide, the Fall of an Empire. The Roman Empire, weakened by internal strife, economic instability, and overstretched military commitments, proved unable to withstand the pressure from those it had sought to conquer. The Germanic tribes, once a thorn in Rome's side, became a force that would reshape the very fabric of Europe, driven by a combination of push and pull factors, population pressures, climate change, the allure of Roman wealth, and the desire for a better life. The Germanic tribes, along with other groups from beyond the empire's borders, began to exert increasing pressure on the Roman frontiers. What began as raids and incursions gradually transformed into large-scale migrations, as entire tribes, seeking new lands to settle, clashed with the weakening defenses of the Roman state. The Roman Empire, once a beacon of civilization, crumbled under the weight of its own contradictions. The legions, once the guarantors of peace and stability, were now often part of the problem, their loyalty divided, their effectiveness compromised by internal squabbles and the declining morale of a society in decay. The fall of the Western Roman Empire, a gradual process marked by internal strife, economic collapse, and the loss of central authority, was hastened by the influx of those it had long considered barbarians. Section 4. The Enduring Legacy, Germania, and the Shape of Europe. The Roman failure to conquer Germania had a profound and lasting impact on the course of European history. It ensured that the Germanic tribes and their cultural legacy would remain a vital force in shaping the continent's destiny. The lands east of the Rhine, never fully integrated into the Roman world, became a crucible in which new identities, new languages, and new political entities emerged. The Germanic tribes, influenced by their interactions with Rome, both positive and negative, developed their own unique forms of social organization, legal codes, and artistic expressions. The legacy of Roman law and administration, though filtered through the lens of Germanic tradition, would leave its mark on the emerging kingdoms and empires that rose from the ashes of the Roman world. The Roman Empire might have fallen, but its influence, intertwined with the legacy of those it sought to conquer, lived on, shaping the languages we speak, the laws we obey, and the very fabric of our societies. The failure to conquer Germania, far from being a footnote in history, was a pivotal event that helped to shape the Europe we know today, a continent forever marked by the interplay of Roman and Germanic influences. Section 5. Lessons from the Forest. Echoes of the Past. The story of Rome's encounter with Germania is not merely an ancient tale of military ambition and defeat. It is a story that continues to resonate in our own time, offering valuable lessons about the limits of power, the importance of cultural understanding, and the enduring strength of the human spirit in the face of adversity. The Roman Empire, for all its achievements, ultimately failed to conquer Germania because it failed to understand the people it sought to subdue. They underestimated the power of cultural identity, the deep connection to the land, and the fierce determination to remain free that burned within the hearts of the Germanic tribes. The lessons of Germania serve as a cautionary tale for any nation or empire that seeks to impose its will on others through force alone. True and lasting peace, the story reminds us, cannot be achieved through military might alone. It requires understanding, respect, and a willingness to acknowledge the perspectives and aspirations of those we might consider different from ourselves. The echoes of the past, if we listen closely, can guide us towards a future where dialogue, cooperation, and mutual respect form the foundation of a more just and equitable world.